Namaste. So I'm about to close this channel, or at least stop making videos and posting, and maybe even stop answering comments and stuff, because over the long run, it has only produced misery. I mean, a few people got a little bit from the teachings, but most of the people offend the teachings, and they offend me personally. And I've given so many warnings, dozens of times in different videos. I recounted the history of how everyone who has wronged me, everyone who has offended me, especially former students who offended me, their spiritual life just turns to trash. They don't make any further advancement. They're stuck until they resolve it. So far, none of the people who have offended me have ever tried to resolve it or make amends. And because of that, they're still not free from the albatross hanging around their necks that brings them into all kinds of illusory situations and destroys whatever knowledge they've got. And it seems like the motivating factor is always the same. It's this entitlement of heterosexuality and seeing third sex people like me as being somehow inferior, whereas the scriptures proclaim that Tritiya Prakriti people are capable of giving blessings. And in India, they do give blessings, even at weddings and religious ceremonies and like that. So, yeah, our teachings have shown, the videos on this channel show, without a doubt, that I have realized the Vedas, all of them, the Vedas, the Tantras, the Agamas, the Puranas, I got it all, man. And I'm very happy, I'm very satisfied. So there's no reason for me to keep putting up with people's offenses. The first offense is that out of all the videos I've made and out of all the teachings I've given, nobody has really responded in what I feel is an appropriate manner. If I had come across a teacher like me when I was like in my 20s, I would have been on the next plane. I would have showed up. And I did show up. When I met my guru, when I was introduced to Srila Prabhupada, I started coming to the temple regularly. I showed up. I took instruction. I wasn't able to immediately implement it, but after a couple of years, I did. And I went to India and I got all the trainings. I learned Sanskrit. I went through all the scriptures, like that. And that's what would happen to anyone who actually answers the call that I'm giving here on the channel. But what has also happened is that people have come forward with a big chip on their shoulders and a big beam in their eye, and missing the point entirely, accuse me of being wrong, bad, or something or other because I am not a, card-carrying, entitled heterosexual. I'm not, and I'll never be, because that was, according to Manu Smriti, the sexual orientation is created at conception. Not even at birth, at conception. And there are astrological techniques you can use, if you know the moment of conception, to predict the gender alignment of the child. So, and this is shown to be very accurate reliable and true, you know. So this whole gender thing is completely a construct, a human mental construct of the false ego trying to justify itself. So if someone is spiritually realized, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe they're not even human. Doesn't matter. If they have the realization, if they can demonstrably hold forth on the topics of transcendence in alignment with the scriptures, they are to be treated, revered even, as a guru. Now, I don't particularly care for the role of the guru or the position of the guru or all of that, because I know the organizations that result, the social conditions that result from considering one person better than another are always Maya. Always. Because each of us, all of us, are Brahman. We only think we're individual people. Huh? It's the rope and the snake. The rope is Brahman. The snake is the false ego. So we think we are that. But because we view ourselves as an individual ego, that's incorrect. What the individual ego is simply Maya, simply imagination. And so all the attributes of this kind of sexuality, that kind of sexuality, or these moral judgments, or those ethical principles, or whatever flag you want to raise, as your justification, is simply your opinion only. Bas. Period. Full stop. And like Stephen Colbert once said, this will be the first time on the channel I think I quote Stephen Colbert. He says, reality has a pronounced liberal bias. In other words, we have our ontological constrictions and constraints. That we say, I am this and I am not that. Okay, well, you can say that. That doesn't mean reality has any obligation to conform to your views. Sorry. So, especially, people like myself are outside of everything. We don't identify with any of the bullshit in this world. So, none of these labels, none of these judgments apply to us. But of course, people will project them on us anyway. That's their disease. So, similarly, when you encounter a being who is outside of your ontological constraints, the tendency there, the habitual mechanical knee-jerk reaction is to condemn and reject and deny their value as human beings, and what to speak of their value as a spiritual teacher or whatever. So look, I'm tired of seeing people ruin their lives by coming here or by sending me, messages of evil intent and creating offenses, gūrvaparādhā, and suffering because of the bad karma. I can't see that anymore. I'm like full up to here with it. I've had it. And especially since I don't need to keep teaching this stuff and generating good karma, because I've already got all the good karma I can ever use. So I'm not worried about that. My only concern is that a lot of people will simply ignore or misuse the channel. the information on the channel and go on making offenses because they are enabled by people around them. Girlfriends, parents, family, associates, business people, friends, and so on, who subscribe to the same values. And so they justify each other. It's like watching Fox News, you know? Fox News is just lies fueled by hate. And it goes on and on and on. Somehow or other, they keep getting funding, even though they are headed towards a big come down, a big fall down. So they're in court now, and it's all coming out. So when you watch something like Fox News, you have to say, you know, these people are not confronting reality. They don't have the big view. They have a very narrow view. And anything outside that narrow view, anything outside of those ontological constraints, they can't handle. They just can't handle it. So I am a being who is outside of all ontological constraints, except the ones that I choose. And even then, it only applies to my body and mind. So to see others then violate their own expressed principles of freedom and freedom of communication and speech and so on like that. I mean, to see that is just like heartbreaking, you know? And so I don't want to go on being confronted with this heartbreaking bad news from the channel subscribers, from my enemies, from the so-called friends who have some hidden agenda. And when they get here, then they start dramatizing their stuff. I just don't need this anymore. I don't need to see people breaking their spiritual life over their offenses to me. So what can I do about it? I can withdraw. And that's what I'm going to do. Namaste.